I've had a crush on the young lady in the wheelchair for years. I've cared for her without holding back, but she's always looked down on me. Even when I asked her to help my dad with his illness, she saw it as some scam to make money. So, eventually, I vanished from her world. Years passed. When I saw her again, the once arrogant rich girl blocked my path with red eyes. I gently touched my wedding ring and smiled warmly. Is Emma trying to interfere? A mop's worth of water poured over me, and I found myself locked in a classroom. I knew they were at it again. Sure enough, a few mocking voices came from outside. What now, Tim? Looks like we're stuck here, might have to stay the night. Are you scared? Not at all. I live in a basement at home too, just like my dad, right? Just a poor dog's life. It was Felix and his crew, their usual routine. I wiped the dirty water from my eyes and said, Emma won't let you guys get away with this. It went quiet outside. I thought what I said worked, but then I heard a snicker. A voice I knew too well, one that made me tremble. It was Emma. My dad's been a house manager in Emma's family since I was 6. Back then, she still walked and had a nice personality. Her family is super rich and powerful. But Emma was humble and polite back then. It seemed like she didn't understand that we, the help, were from a different world. That all changed after her mom's tragic act. Her dad, Mike, had cheated, and the revelation came with a hidden daughter, as old as Emma. Her mom, Lily, someone who thrived on love, couldn't take it. She wanted Mike to regret what he did, so she tried to take them both out. Lily died, but Emma survived, forever bound to a wheelchair. That's when everything changed. She became aware of her high status, spoke harshly, and looked down on everyone, even me, who cared for her diligently. Mike and his side of the family eventually left, unable to handle Emma. They moved abroad and never came back. Emma had the house to herself, like a conquering general always in battle. Her demanding gaze finally landed on me. She said, Tim, you're kind to me only to escape your lowly background. Even if I'm stuck in this wheelchair for life, you'll always be beneath me. In her eyes, I was like Mike's favorite, a woman who shared my financial struggles and reasons to climb higher. Maybe it wasn't just that reason. I've seen that woman. We share a beauty mark at the corner of our eyes. From a certain angle, we do look alike. Caught in this mess, I became just like a stranger in Emma's eyes, bearing her misplaced anger. When I came out, Emma sat leisurely, her lips curling slowly as she mocked, You asked me to teach someone a lesson. Felix and his crew laughed, making me look even more like a shameless beggar. They claimed they've been taking care of me at school every day. Emma stopped drumming her fingers, not saying a word. The foul smell of dirty water filled my nose while the chilly autumn breeze pierced my bones. I stared at Emma. That morning, she'd asked me to make her a cup of coffee before leaving. And suddenly I needed to know, did Felix tear my homework, frame me, and cut up my uniform? Or was it you? Emma's gaze moved to Felix and his gang, who backed away, scared. She turned back to me smiling. Doesn't matter who, as long as it keeps you grounded, knowing your place. At home, she's my employer, and no matter her expectations, I endure it. But I never thought she'd extend this cruelty to school. Listening to the drip of dirty water, I gazed steadily at the girl I had cared for so long. Emma, tell me, what did I do to deserve this? She stared at my face, seeming to quell something inside her. You were born below. Who knows what you'd do for more, what harm you'd cause, like my mom. I've heard enough of her insults, but not said this mildly. I have that face, like the one her dad loved. If she didn't keep me in check, I'd ruin another's life like Lily. Noble actions indeed, deciding lives on a whim. I suddenly laughed. Emma, even if I'm like your stepmother, why should it matter to you? I'll find someone else. It's no business of yours. I'd never been so bold. When Emma coldly ordered a bodyguard to toss me into a car, I knew I'd angered her. Maybe it was calling that woman her stepmother. Covered in filth, they drove me to Emma's home, handed to 2 maids. I scrubbed up, trash turned clean, dumped in a dim basement. Cold, hungry, no light. I curled up like every time Emma blew up, and fell asleep. The next morning, I climbed from the basement. Felix, dressed in fancy clothes, pushing Emma's wheelchair. A perfect picturesque match. Emma thinks I'm mincing words. She's wrong. Like how I love her. I never said a word aloud. But Felix loves her, and everyone says they're meant to be. Growing up together, Felix is her first love. I can't be. After all, a princess can't love a pauper. Her love gifts $1 million watch. A pauper's love just lets her vent when she can't walk. But she doesn't see or appreciate it. No matter. I've always known I don't belong here or how my dad needs me most after all these years. This job is well paid. I'm the only one she chose to care for her. 3 years of this. Enough money left after tuition. Enough to last me through college. Except for her dislike, I don't lose much. Once I graduate, I'll leave with my dad. I buried myself in a sea of textbooks, imagining a better life for me and my dad to get through that tough month. Right after the college entrance exams, I got a call from the hospital. That's when I found out my dad had been hiding the news of his illness from me. The doctor was silent for a long time before asking, "Is there anyone else in your family?" They had wanted to call earlier, but my dad told them I was about to sit for an important exam, so they waited until now. I looked down at the diagnosis, acute myeloid leukemia. With trembling hands, I took out all the money I had in my bag and placed it on the table. It was enough to cover the past expenses. The doctor sighed and said the costs would be higher in the second phase. Since my mom passed away, my dad and I moved to the city. We're like two drifters, floating with no roots, spending all we earned on paying off debts. I could only think of Emma. I called her and a familiar voice answered. I didn't have time to mentally prepare myself. I gritted my teeth and asked to borrow money. It was noisy on her end. She chuckled coldly, seemingly tipsy, then said, "If you can get here in half an hour, I might consider it." I rushed to the exclusive club she managed. As I opened the private room door, I stepped into a world I didn't belong in. People from her social circle started sizing me up. "Is this the little manager of yours, Ryan?" Not bad looking, just a bit young, a high school student. Emma was on the couch, and Felix leaned beside her, swirling a wine glass as he glanced at me. I realized how naive I was. Emma, even if she's lost her legs, is still the only heir. There will always be people eager to please her. I pitied the young lady who lost her mom and legs, treating her exceptionally well, but it was all unnecessary. There were drinks poured on the crystal table before I even got there, with a dozen glasses lined up. She didn't give me a chance to speak. Lazily waving her hand, she said, "1 glass, $10,000. I had a loan note ready in my pocket, but she seemed more interested in having me shame myself for amusement. Taking a deep breath, I downed a glass of liquor. My dad was waiting in the hospital. I couldn't refuse. Then came the second, the third. 10 glasses down, my stomach churned. I half-crouched, dizzy, gripping the table for support. Unbeknownst to me, everyone had been kicked out by Emma at some point, leaving just her coldly watching me from the couch. I must look pitiful, tears streaming uncontrollably from the alcohol. She lifted my chin. "You really want to leave with some cash, don't you?" I couldn't understand her anger, only her disdain. She tossed an envelope holding a resignation letter in my face. "I let you in my study just for you to leave that kind of thing, Tim? Who do you think you are trying to manipulate me this way?" Felix once said, "When a pet misbehaves, you just let it learn the hard way. Since you're so eager to leave, then leave today." Despite feeling ill, I clung to Emma's shirt sleeve. "I'm not leaving. I need money. For my mom who worked at your home for so long. For looking after you. Please help or advance my salary. I'll stay." "I'm sorry. I won't misbehave again. You're just like her." Emma laughed spitefully. Disgusting. The alcohol hit harder. I didn't care what Emma said, just begged. "Please help my dad." She was cruel, unmoved, as if laying bare some grim truth about what my life would be. "You don't have to make lousy excuses for money. I hate your greedy faces." Emma kept her word. Her assistant gave me $100,000 and then threw my belongings out. 100 grand would cover a few months of Dad's chemo. If it wasn't enough, I'd have to find more on my own. I started tutoring kids during the day, but parents were hesitant without my official exam results. I used the results from consistently being in the top 5 during high school, and eventually they agreed when I reduced the fee. An old neighbor who used to live in our building told me nighttime gigs make cash quicker. With his help, I took on 5 tutoring jobs during the day and 2 night shifts. I was a relentless spinning top. I kept everything hidden from my dad. When he was awake, he'd notice my exhaustion, asking, "How come you look so worn out? Emma's such a good kid." I watched her grow up, but how do we repay so much money later? He didn't know I earned every cent. The family money wasn't from Emma's generosity. The neighbor watched my back, shielding me from much alcohol. But my stomach was messed up from those 10 drinks at Emma's. Still ached weeks later. "Can't you take a break? You'll collapse," the neighbor advised. But he knew as well as I did that people like us couldn't afford to stop. He sighed but didn't push further, lending me every savings he had. Some rich girl started visiting me at one of the clubs. Unlike other rude customers, she wanted to take me to dinner. Maybe my luck was turning. "You don't need to pay it back. Don't count on such little earnings daily." I swallowed the medicine he bought, tears flowing. It didn't matter to my dad, crippled by illness. He didn't need to know. I had other things on my mind. "Dad, I recommended a bone marrow transplant. You have a sister, right?" I'd overheard about her fights as a kid but never met her, knowing only there was a rift. "Can you reach out? I'll talk to her, pay her whatever she wants." Dad looked conflicted, muttering, "She may not want the money." After much convincing, he agreed to try. As he left, I heard him connect to a call, murmuring into the phone, "I didn't mean that, please calm down." I didn't eavesdrop further. I had another tutoring job lined up. Someone needed me to accompany their kid on a summer camp, as they had no time. 3 days' wages were $1,000. For someone like me, who's desperately trying to raise money for my dad's surgery, of course I wouldn't say no. During those summer camp nights, I kept worrying about my dad's surgery. Would his sister agree to be a match? If she doesn't, well, neither my dad nor I would force it. It's her choice, after all. They just didn't want to leave any stone unturned. Then, on the afternoon of the 3rd day, on the way back from the summer camp, Tim got a call from the hospital. After chemo, my dad had a severe infection. They were blunt, my dad didn't make it. In that instant, my mind went blank. Felt like my throat was filled with shattered glass. Just yesterday, the doctor said he was getting better. How could this happen? I started crying right there on the bus. A 10-year-old kid next to me got scared and quickly tried to wipe away my tears. "What's wrong, big brother?" I couldn't speak through the pain in my chest. It was suffocating. I lost my dad. I was only 17. For almost a month, I'd been forcing myself to stay strong, thinking that if I tried hard enough, I could build a future for me and him. Why did it turn out like this? The kid panicked and called his parents, with his smartwatch, to pick me up from the station. They took me to the hospital. I thanked them quickly and rushed inside. After so much chemo, my dad was a shadow of his former self. Under the white sheet, there was hardly any sign of a grown man. The nurse collected his belongings for me. Then came a whirlwind of things to handle, and only after it was all done did I realize my dad had become just a little box in my hands. For the past month, I watched as his illness tortured him, and he still pretended everything was okay for me. Even the past 17 years, he always did that. After working hard his whole life, my dad could finally rest in the palm of my hand. I held that small box and sat alone in the room for a long while. Parents called, saying they were firing me from tutoring. "You worked night shifts in that place? My kid doesn't need you teaching them." Some were harsh, sending my pay. Others accused me of lying, refusing to pay for the week. And some even asked to meet so I could return any tutor fees. "I'm handling my dad's funeral. You want to come?" I asked flatly. They hung up, embarrassed. I knew it was Felix, always lurking, ready to take pleasure in others' pain. I couldn't reach the neighbor who had originally loaned me the money for my dad's surgery. I was too exhausted with funeral arrangements to keep trying, so I just returned the money to his account. The family that brought me to the hospital also received those anonymous photos of me working at night, but they never questioned it and visited me several times with concern in their eyes. Before their last visit, the gentle lady hugged me tenderly. "Good child, we're moving abroad soon." I was grateful for their help and wished them well. After sharing a knowing look, their 10-year-old son suddenly asked, "Brother, why don't you come with us?" Before leaving, my phone rang. It was the number I'd been trying to reach all month for help with no luck. I answered, and Emma's voice was as cold as ever. "How's your month gone? Grades out yet? I know you're good academically. Apply to my university. I'll stay here. Just be more obedient than before, and I'll pretend none of it happened." I'd shed all my tears, yet couldn't help but laugh. A laugh so uncontrollable and crazed that it surprised even me. Emma, startled, yelled, "Tim, what the hell's wrong with you? Say something." I honored her request with two simple words. "You're an idiot." Words I'd never dared say to her before. "Tim, are you looking to get hurt?" Before her rage could grow, I kept my voice steady. "My mom wrote to me a few pages every day despite her pain. You know, she mentioned you, said you were sensitive, hard to let go of. How could you still be on her mind?" I heard something break on the other side. Emma's breathing turned frantic. "What are you saying? She was really sick, you weren't lying? What last moment? Explain it clearly." I hung up, pulled out and broke my SIM card, then tossed it away. I headed toward the people waiting for me. As the ticket-checking reminder chimed, I saw Emma again 7 years later, at her and Felix's engagement party. Someone next to me handed over a handful of seeds and chatted, "This engagement isn't as grand as last month's new socialites bash. The first wife's kid not being favored is one thing, but even Emma seems uninterested in her own event." I nodded. "Well, Felix's family is known for their privacy and restraint." I simply smiled without any further comment. Eventually, the person noticed my silence and asked, "Whose side are you on?" "The bride's," I smiled lightly. The questioner was surprised. Thought only elders were left on the bride's side. I chuckled. "You could say I'm her elder too." I didn't speak much after that, because on stage Emma suddenly looked my way. Just as I'd heard, her legs had healed. There she stood beside Felix, looking just like she always did in the past. I lifted my glass in her direction and mouthed, "Congratulations. Wishing you lasting happiness, Emma." Predictably, she stopped me as the party ended. In the dim hallway of the hotel, lit just enough, her eyes were shadowed but evidently red. "Tim," she rasped, heavy with alcohol, her breath hitting my cheek. I frowned and stepped back slightly. "Long time no see, Emma," I said, keeping my tone flat, tinged with the distance of someone not eager for a reunion. She didn't seem to grasp the hint, though. Instead, she inched closer, closing in more than before. Her throat moved, then she paused. "All these years, why couldn't I find you?" I shrugged it off with, "She's someone of your standing. Shouldn't care where the lesser folk end up." She reached for my face, stopped short, recognizing nothing familiar. That mole she used to know, I had removed the year I left. Hands trembling, she let it drop. For a moment, she looked utterly defeated and drained. "You hate me, don't you?" she asked. I didn't answer. What happened with my uncle, that was my fault. I was swamped at the time and didn't think to look into it. I honestly didn't know. It was only later that I sent someone to ask around and found out you took his ashes. You changed your contact info and just vanished. I searched for you for ages. If anyone else had heard her almost tearful confession, they might have been moved. But I'm Tim, and the only thing that can stir my emotions after all these years is one thing, which Emma soon realized. I lowered my eyes and smiled. "Well, it's good, MS. You has a new life now. I think you'll be happy with Felix." Upon hearing this, her hurting eyes suddenly lit up, as if she were a drowning person who'd found a piece of driftwood. She grabbed my wrist tightly. You still have feelings for me, don't you? Just say the word, and I won't marry Felix. I paused and then gently laughed, pulling my hand away slowly. Even if Felix agreed, I wouldn't. Emma suddenly grabbed my hand. I looked down and followed her gaze to the ring on my finger. Offhandedly, I remarked, I'm already married. Emma was never really the gentle, cultured type. That mask might amuse her for a while, but it never lasts. I knew this all too well. The moment she saw the ring, her expression changed. Then, hearing my resolute words, she tightened her grip and shoved me against the wall. To whom? The guilt-ridden person she was disappeared, replaced by her true self, with a tone as chilling as if today were my engagement party. I tugged at my hand, but it didn't budge. I chuckled. Emma, why do you ask so many questions? You planning to be the other woman? If I remember correctly, you used to despise those kinds of people. 7 years on, your pursuits have changed? Emma's face went pale. She gradually released my hand. Tim, she said. I'm not Tim anymore, I replied, creating distance. But there's no need for Emma to know that. Her gaze flickered, and her hand clenched. From the hallway's end, Felix's voice called out, yelling Emma's name as he approached. Seeing I was about to leave, Emma instinctively moved to block me. But with Felix's insistent calls echoing, she didn't budge. Finally, she awkwardly asked, Where are you going this time? I reassured her we'll meet again. The next morning, I went back to Emma's, a home I hadn't seen in 7 years. Mike introduced me to Emma, who was coming downstairs. This is your brother-in-law, Tim. He got married to Sunny in the States. Our flight was delayed yesterday, so he made it for your engagement party. You guys have met, right? Emma's pupils constricted, and she shot a sharp look at me. She finally understood what I meant by we'd meet again. Over the years since Emma's leg had healed, she'd maneuvered carefully in the family, always fearing Mike might give everything to Wendy. So now, she could eat at the same table as Wendy, even after hearing such news. She stayed cautious, just gripping her soup spoon tightly. I calmly served soup for Wendy. She elegantly received it as usual, glanced at it, frowned, and pushed it back. There's stuff in it, she said. I took it and quickly replied, I'll get a fresh one. As I poured the soup, Emma sat nearby, watching Wendy enjoy my near-servile attention. Through dinner, I hardly ate, too busy tending to Wendy's whims. Wendy accepted it with ease, never questioning if my almost slave-like servitude was out of place. After eating, I asked when we could leave. Wendy's face immediately soured, chiding, Since Sunny can't make it, what's wrong with you filling in? Can't handle a bit of work? Then she changed her tone, shrugged at Mike and Wendy, and said, He's always like this, out of place. If Sunny didn't like him, Emma's gaze bore into my profile, almost piercing through me. I softly interrupted Wendy's rambling. I'm just worried others won't take care of Sunny well enough. Can't rest easy. Wendy finally fell silent. Her blame evaporated. Mike, holding her hand, gently reassured her. This kid's just anxious. Don't you miss Sunny? Wendy, moved, buried her face in Mike's shoulder, crying as he comforted her outside. The dining room was left to just me and Emma. You married a nobody. She laughed suddenly, sweeping her tableware to the floor. In a few strides, she grabbed my hand. How could you dare? You knew I wanted those two dead. Is that so? I replied. You didn't show it during dinner. Emma instantly silenced, catching the sarcasm in my words. I was just calmly stating the truth that she silently appeased those who caused her mother's demise. She clutched her hair in agony. I had no choice, she whimpered. I looked her in the eyes. That's why I'm not like you. I won't forgive or forget for petty gains. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Nothing less. Being Wendy's slave, Tim, she spat, is your married life just tending to a vegetable? The tension mounted. She's my wife, my love, I shot back. I'm happy to do it. Emma stared fiercely for a long while, then suddenly laughed. Tim, did you ever wonder why I despised you? Just 'cause you look like Wendy, I treated you like that. You're Wendy's son, the one she abandoned right at birth. A long-buried secret finally shone under the light as Emma seemed relieved saying it, studying my reaction with the same curiosity she had when she used to play tricks on me, wondering how I'd take the news of my connection to Sunny. But I calmly met her gaze and replied, "I know." Her harsh, expectant eyes that were ready to gauge my pain turned to fear, confused. And I continued, "Things I learned after marriage. But something happened to her," Emma said. "You might not fully get it. Truly loving someone means you're not willing to leave them, no matter who they are or their status." I could wait for her to wake up forever. Sounds crazy, I know. No one discovering their wife is actually their half-sister would be as stubborn as me. But if I wasn't, how would Emma know how much I love Sunny? How would Emma go crazier than me? Emma stared at me for a long time before sarcastically saying, "Good," twice, and stormed off in anger. Then Mike called me. "Is it ready yet?" he asked. Watching Emma's silhouette fade away, I replied, "Almost there." Wendy suggested we go shopping. She even invited Felix along. They seemed like mother and son, chatting away. Felix was charming and had Wendy wrapped around his finger. Every now and then, she'd mention to him about Sunny and me, saying how Sunny went after me since college and had a crush on me for years. Made it sound like she only went for me because I threatened her parents. If only he agreed sooner, Sunny wouldn't have gotten into trouble. Honestly, he's a bad influence. But as long as he takes care of her and knows his place, he's tolerated, Wendy said. Felix shot me a knowing look. He'd heard she thought he looked like some servant she once saw. Wendy didn't buy it. I mean, maybe they look alike. His parents are overseas, and they might not be rich as Mike, but they'd never be house help. Felix shifted the conversation, didn't pursue it further. After the shopping trip, once Wendy left, Felix suggested we meet up. It was at the same club where I made 10 grand drinking. Originally, it was Emma's, a gift for Felix upon their engagement. Now, in his own space, Felix didn't need to put on a show. I found him on a couch, surrounded by several women. It reminded me of high school when Emma would constantly belittle me, saying I'd never match Felix's elegance. I used to like her back then, and being young and dumb, I'd ask if she learned to kiss in fancy cars from her drivers. That winter, furious, Emma dragged me into a bathroom and doused me with cold water, asking if I was awake now. Felix somehow found out, and one afternoon when I was already feverish, he cornered me with some guys and pinned me on the concrete. They pressed my back with their knees, ripped my shirt, and stabbed a pen into my shoulder. Red blood mixed with blue ink, leaving permanent scars from the infection. I can't believe Emma was in the dark about any of it. So there Felix lay, head resting in a woman's arms, as he took a drink, glanced my way and said, "Tim, you think losing a mole would make me not recognize you? Ants like you have similar eyes." His gaze moved from the women flanking him to me. "Just seeing your eyes tells me I can easily crush you." I held his stare. "Ever crushed anyone?" He seemed surprised, pretending to contemplate. "I never bother to step myself. I just help others place ants beneath their feet. Does that count?" My hand clenched tightly at my side, nails digging into my skin, but the slight pain paled compared to the weight in my heart. Felix casually sipped some wine and kissed the woman beside him. His lips stained with wine, derisively as he continued, "Emma's parents fixed her leg. She owes them a lifetime. And as for you," he added, laughing, "do you really think you've made it?" Holding the neck of the woman beside him, he continued sarcastically, "Lucky me. I got a hold of your little secret, so I thought I'd give you something. Isn't that the fairness you people talk about?" It struck me then. Felix didn't love Emma. Luxuries fed him, but so did cruelty. He thrived on glory and, when bored, messed with the fragments beneath him. He was confident that no matter how far I climbed, I'd never surpass him, so he could mock me as he pleased. What if, from the start, I never intended to compete but aimed to bring him down instead? At breakfast the next day, Wendy suggested we do a reality show together. Wendy broke into Showbiz Abroad, with Mike funding a few top movies for her, turning her into an international star. Now that things with Mike and Emma were settling, Mike wanted to move back home, and Wendy was looking for some limelight. She originally wanted Felix, but figured he couldn't handle it like I could. Unlike you, she said, I sometimes wonder if you were meant to serve others, or maybe you were just well-trained. Sonny and I really hit the jackpot with you. I agreed with a faint smile. Suddenly, Emma shattered a glass, drawing Mike's ire, though she stayed quiet. Mike only inflicted, ensuring everything was set for Sonny's private jet transfer without any hitches. Wendy's face lit up. Turning to me, you just gonna stand there? Your wife's coming, remember? Surely you plan to care for her? So that's why Mike used it to calm Wendy down, I thought, smiling slightly. That's great. Emma remained silent through it all. Later, at the corner of the second floor, Emma stopped me, her eyes searching. Tim, she said, how long will you drag this out? Don't you have any pride? Does pride ensure Wendy spares my parents? I shot back. Emma said nothing. She'd never put herself in my shoes. Get divorced, you know I'll soon have full control of everything. Congrats, I replied, but I won't divorce. My wife needs me. As I moved, Emma clung to my hand. One step further, and Wendy from the living room would see us. Tim, she sighed, madness clouding her eyes. Don't make me. She slipped me a hotel room key, hers. Come if you want. I'm just gonna do something good so you can meet Wendy again. Don't you love Sonny a lot? Guess what? If that's the case, can you still take care of her, Tim? We help each other out. Isn't it a good thing? I was so mad I started shaking and just held the room key tight. Emma whispered in my ear, 10 p.m. Don't be late. She was in a good mood. Before leaving, she even helped adjust my collar. Her fingers moved in a way that was both flirty and arrogant. Back in my room, I grabbed my phone and made a call. 10 p.m., there's only one shot at this. Think it through before you answer me. Before the show officially started taping, there was a live streaming segment. Wendy took really good care of herself. She had quite a few fans there too. Some habits never change. She made me run around doing stuff for her. Fans said I was really filial. She always spoke softly. It was all harmonious. After the first impression segment, there was a 10-minute intermission. We got put in the same green room. The side camera was still on. Wendy started ripping into me. Why'd you give me cold water just now? Did you do it on purpose, making me drink that on camera? Trying to make me mad? It was from the staff, only thing they had. It's so hot today. You gotta talk back every time I say something? How about preparing stuff before leaving home? You can't even serve people right. How did you end up in this house? At that, I suddenly looked up at her. Don't act like you don't know how I got here. You threatened me with my parents' company, made me drop out to marry a person in a coma, serve you and your daughter. Isn't that your doing, Wendy? She wasn't used to me speaking up like that. Got really mad immediately. You ungrateful brat. That's what you deserve. Who asked my daughter to court you for so long and you had the audacity to say no? She's my daughter. You should be happy just licking her boots. Funny enough, I said deliberately, Emma's the older one. Why bother? Sonny came first by 2 months, just kept under wraps. The live chat must be going wild right now. I added more to the fire. So you went and told back then, right? Made her jump off the building the same day. That woman was weak, her death got nothing on me. Seeing her losing it, I closed my eyes for a second, finally asked, what about Henry? How did he die? Wendy visibly panicked, then yelled at me, who are you? I slowly walked up to her. Henry, your own brother. He got accepted to college when you didn't. You told your parents he wouldn't get far and took his spot. Later got pregnant at college. Left the kid with your brother working the farm. He raised him like his own, and you cut ties with him for good, until he got sick. Asked if you could do a bone marrow match. You didn't want to do it but went to his hospital anyway. You threatened him not to tell anyone about his story. He begged you for help for the school thing, said he wanted to live for his son. But you took it as a threat, afraid that the school and the son you abandoned would come haunt you. In the hospital, right after his chemotherapy, you found a way to infect him fatally. By then my voice was shaky. I couldn't be with my dad, always scrambling for medical costs. Put a tiny second-hand camera right behind the corner for when I needed a pick-me-up. Caught Wendy's visit on camera the day my dad passed. The camera broke right after I buried him. Until one day abroad I replayed that footage. She looked so pale she fell to the floor. You're... I crouched down next to her. Ruthless and blunt. I'm the kid you ditched, then forced to marry your own daughter. Wendy's eyes were wide with fear. She didn't know what to say. This is fate, right? You forced it. I wonder, do you ever fear karma? Someone in the live chat already phoned the cops. Wendy was dragged out, screaming like a wild animal. She couldn't look at me, kept saying Sonny's name. Before the squad car, I whispered to her, Mom, I'd always called her that since the wedding. She took to it. But now she found it excruciating to hear, crying enough to flood a room, shaking her head furiously. Cursed kid, this was your plan all along. You never cared for Sonny. I should have never left you with Henry. I wasn't mad. Just tried so hard to prove her wrong. Haven't you seen how I care for her? Mom, I love her so much. I'm gonna go see her now. Wendy was at her wit's end, terrified that I really did love Sonny. Or worse, I might hurt her for revenge. She was too flustered to talk. Had to be driven off while I headed for the hospital. Reaching Sonny's room, she was sprawled out on the bed. Hooks and tubes everywhere, just like every day of our marriage. I touched her pale face and whispered, You look so lovable like this. After graduating in a foreign country, I met Sonny at a new school. Unlike Emma, her parents were around, pampered her. She was all about the flash, driving fast cars, always with different guys, like she was collecting them, until one day, she set her sights on me. I took my time studying my mom's journal, knew who Sonny was way before she made her bold move on me. I figured I'd use her, climb higher, deal with all those who've sinned. Sonny was just a means to an end, until I saw that cheap bracelet my neighbor once loved, tucked alongside her other trophies. It had a name etched into the last bead. I carved it myself. Do you know Leo? Sonny flirtatiously wrapped her arms around me. Nope, I don't. A friend who studied abroad with you. I dodged her attempt to kiss me and casually said, If you don't know, never mind. Leo disappeared. He lent all his savings to a spoiled rich girl I met around that time. Sonny. I hired a private detective. Turns out Sonny went back home during that time. Played around for a bit, then hurried back. Seemed like something happened. Was even scolded by Mike. She stayed out of the scene for quite a while after that. The investigation results made me unable to stand her, even as a stepping stone. Unless it's her harmless and innocent after the car accident. We were once married. After my judgment, I allow you a lifetime to slowly atone for your sins. With my video and a nurse who worked at the hospital back then willing to testify, Wendy was quickly arrested for attempted murder. Mike's overseas company faced major troubles. He flew back in a hurry yesterday and reportedly collapsed from exhaustion, having no time to deal with Wendy's matters. An overseas partner called me, asking how long I needed. They wanted to keep Mike occupied for as long as possible, ideally until the trial ends, until everything is exposed publicly with no way to hide it. Emma found out about everything too late. She spent the night messing around in a hotel and got caught by Felix the next day. However, I wasn't the main character as Felix had hoped. He set up a dramatic scene with his brother-in-law and sister, only to be shocked. He entered the room with a camera, only to find his cousin in bed with his fiancée. Those who fancy themselves as noble creators are the most intolerant of stupidity. The meticulously set scene was wrecked. Felix lost control instantly. They fought and their friendship was done for. And Emma, the center of their battle, watched the exposed private photos in disbelief and boiling rage. She immediately called to cancel the wedding. Felix, already nearly broken by public opinion, snapped at her, adding insult to injury, and had her leg broken. Crippling herself. Did she really think she was something? No skills to speak of. Your company shares were built up by my brother. Your leg was healed by me. Even beggars give a nod for charity, but you couldn't even marry. Emma clutched her bloody leg, shaking her head in despair, asking how he could be like this. How? You expect me to take care of you like Tim did? He loved his crippled, I do not. When Emma was sent to the hospital, I happened to pass by as I left Felix's room. She grabbed my hand from the stretcher. Sorry. I looked at her blankly, then pulled away, walking out. I went back to the little island I bought with years of savings. The sun is bright here, greenery everywhere, like a paradise. I brought my mom's ashes, placed them at the best spot to watch the sunset, building a little mound. She would have loved it. While watching the sunset on the beach, a boy would run out from the island's nursing home, slowly inching closer. Finally, he'd boldly come up, hold my face, squinting at the sunset, then turn his head to confirm. Tim? He hesitantly shouted. My eyes stung, replying, I am Tim. But he couldn't hear, nor did he wait for my answer, running off to play in the sand. I found my neighbor brother at a rough nursing home. Both ears beaten deaf, starved to skin and bones, didn't recognize anyone. I took him out. Doctors said he'd been physically and psychologically abused, hearing irreparable, mental state severe. On the island, I built him a little nursing home, going to the beach every day waiting for him. From initial hostility, hitting everyone who came close, to now where he can come to me, call my name. The day Felix died in the hospital, I got the news while he pulled me to see ants moving homes in the bushes. Tim, bring lots and lots of money, treat mom, play with me. I'm scared. Where did Tim go? He often rambles incoherently, suddenly triggered, hiding on the ground. I pieced together what he suffered from his scattered words, holding him in unbearable pain. Mike and my adoptive parents visit the island often. I told them to treat it like a vacation spot. Slowly, Leo also grew to trust them. We were like family, watching sunsets on the beach together. Mike said it reminded him of our first day at summer camp. Such a beautiful sunset too. I asked didn't he take a picture with his phone watch back then, if it was still there. Surprisingly, he got angry. What phone watch? That was so many years ago. I'm 18 now. He glanced at our parents napping on loungers, then quickly averted his gaze, muttering, old enough for romance. Talk, date, quickly find someone. I had no interest in arguing with a kid. The signal on this island is weak, and I had no intention of prying into the outside world. Mike brought me news. After Felix's death, Emma was back in a wheelchair. From the severe beating, she could never walk again. Mike used every trick trying to get Wendy out, but the case stemming from the live broadcast incident was too big. He had no way in. Stocks hitting new lows, far from what they were. Felix completely ousted from the entertainment industry, disowned by the family, struggling. Proud people falling from their pedestals, covered in dirt. Mike asked what I thought. I didn't have time to think, too busy sunbathing.